Guys, welcome back to the Resilience Pod. Today we have another awesome guest on the show, which is Bettina. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank
you.
Good.
I'm so excited to have you here today. And guys, we're going to be talking about crisis management from an expert. So we've got the mood book here, how you are feeling before the interview. So she's going to look through the mood book, guys, and tell us how she's feeling.
I am feeling splendid.
Ooh, oh, that's a relief. And tell us and the viewers why you're feeling splendid today.
I'm just so honoured to be here today. It's a great opportunity. I love opportunities like that. So thank you very much.
So, Bettina, tell me about your very first job.
So my very first job, apart from working as a waitress in several hotels while I was a student, was as a games translator and tester.
Wow, how cool is that? Games translator and tester. Tell us a bit more about what that was.
Yeah, my background is actually translation and interpreting. I'm German, so I used to do English to German and French to German translation.
Wow.
And my first job after university was for mobile phone translation and testing. So back then the hype was Guitar Hero. So we translated that, and a big part of it is to play through it as well. So I spent a lot of time playing Guitar Hero and get paid for it, which was really interesting. Unfortunately, I developed repetitive strain injury
from gaming.
Yes.
Wow, goodness.
Yeah, dangerous of the job.
At what point did you leave that behind you and then get into crisis management?
Well, actually, I left that gaming job behind me quite quickly because, like I said, I got an injury from it. And it was a nice starter job. But then I worked for Air France for a very long time. Okay. And in the travel industry, actually, for about 7 years. And then I had a child, and I saw this job online about crisis training simulation. And I thought it was so interesting because, like I said, it's not gaming, but it's a little bit.
Yeah.
It feels like now I can help people and maybe even save lives and, help company have the stock of your company. And when you make the wrong decision, the stock price just keeps falling. And my heart was just like, I thought I'm going to have a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so real. It was so real.
And that's what gave you that buzz.
Exactly. Wow. And it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And this is exactly why people need to rehearse, because you react completely differently under stress. And if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you're going to fail. But if you rehearse it, that won't happen.
Rehearse. That's the key tip.
That's key, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Communication and cooperation. And that's not a given. You actually have to rehearse that as well. Okay. I was talking even, for example, to somebody, she works with the emergency services, and she said they don't know how to communicate with each other, and she really wanted to do an exercise to bring all of the different services together to communicate with each other. And I think this applies to anywhere really. When I was in Air France, I think that I was so successful because I was communicating with all the different departments. Right. And I had somebody to go to, at least one person in every single department, whereas other people, they didn't even know who works in a different department. And when I needed something, I just called them up. Oh, can you quickly do this for me? And I didn't have to go through all the red tape. And, vice versa. If they needed something, they'd come to me. And it's about building trust with everybody, all the stakeholders. And that's how you then become effective during a crisis.
And communication is so simple and key, but we get it wrong.
Yeah.
And how can we stop getting it wrong from your experience?
It's just literally by talking to each other and pick up the phone.
It's that simple, is it?
It is that simple. And maybe also move a little bit away from the emails and the Slack, because when you type a message, it can be misunderstood very easily. And it's much better to to speak to people in person.
Yeah, especially in this day of technology. So get out there and talk to people, okay? Don't send hundreds of emails. And this is not just about crisis, right? It's just everyday interactions.
But especially in crisis, trust.
Yeah.
And again, communication and cooperation is how you can develop that trust beforehand to be effective in a crisis. And then also, from my experience, is that people, again, they don't rehearse enough because companies think crisis isn't going to happen. But only about 20% of companies actually come out of a crisis in a good way, and 80% of companies fail to come out of a crisis. And another thing is that nowadays, crisis is at least double as expensive as it used to be.
Right, yeah.
Thousands, the crisis cost the company about 10 million.
Wow.
And now it's gone up for 25% of companies, it's gone up to 100 million. Wow. And that's all due to social media.
Yes.
Crisis can be so expensive, and companies and everybody just really needs to think about, can you afford PR? I haven't worked with PR guys that much, but for me, I thought it's all about immediate responses. We really need to rehearse. And I would have thought it's all about the quick, social media, everything has to be quick. People tend to say it used to be the golden hour, then it was the golden minute, and now you don't even have a minute anymore.
So true.
It's so quick.
Just a little bit before, you talked about imposter syndrome, and we've all kind of heard this. Have you felt it?
Definitely. It just starts when you go to a job interview. Again, like I said, men, they will go to a job interview and they will tell them how great they are and what they can do. I would never do that. And then when you start a new job, I often feel like, oh my God, I can't do this. When I started my job in crisis management, I thought, what am I doing? I don't know anything about crisis management.
She does now, okay.
But then I realized it's not actually true, because when I was in Air France, I was in customer care.
Okay.
But from the day I started, there was, I think, a blizzard in New York or something like that.
Oh, was there?
So that was the day I started. So that was a big crisis. And then in April, we had the volcano. I'm not going to try to attempt to pronounce it, but you remember the volcano?
Yeah.
So that went on for a very long time, and then suddenly we had like twice as many claims as we'd normally have. We had people stranded all over the world, and people trying to come home in the most ridiculous ways, like taking taxis from Netherlands, things like that. And then we had I think Sandy in September, and it just went on and on and on and on. So even though we didn't specifically call it crisis management, it's the same thing. It was business continuity, keeping our department going, keeping everything going. So I did know a lot more about it than I thought.
Great. So we all experience imposter syndrome.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's okay to recognise that, isn't it?
It is, yes, and you have to. I didn't realise how much I'm actually experiencing it until I did that event, and we did like a little workshop on it. And I'm really working on it now. Sometimes it's just important to tell yourself, I can do this. I am an expert. I am an inspiring woman.
You are.
Yes. So you have to tell yourself and believe in yourself. It's very important. But then on the other hand, I have to say, like I mentioned before with the meetup and women used to speak up, I've never been afraid to speak up. And I can I sat in a room brand new with industry experts that have been in the industry for 10, 20 years. But I still have good points to say, and I will say them, and it's appreciated. So I would encourage everybody to speak up, because everybody has valuable insights to share.
Yeah, thank you. And that's really important for you guys. It doesn't matter if you're new or been in the industry for years, definitely follow that advice. What does resilience mean to you personally first?
Yeah, for me, resilience means that maybe I'm just ready to face the day.
Okay.
I have 2 children, so I suffer every now and then a lot of sleep deprivation. And I really struggle when I don't sleep enough.
Okay.
So for me, it was really to sit down and to look at what stops me from being my personal best. And for me, it's actually weird things. Like I said, sleep deprivation, but also sugar is really bad for me, and I love to drink Coke. So I realized I have to stop this. Called Headspace, which is really good.
Headspace,
And then I have another app called Way of Life. So I put everything in there that I want to do every day. And then I tick it off as I go along. And if I don't do it, it sends me a reminder. And then it also shows me how long I've been able to do the same thing. So now I haven't had a Coke for about 2 weeks. But I also changed my whole mindset. Instead of saying, I'm trying to stop drinking Coke, I'm a person that doesn't drink Coke. So it's all about changing your mindset, I feel, and it really works.
Amazing.
It really works. Instead of saying I'm trying to be healthy, I'm a healthy person. Everything. Don't be a company that wants to be resilient and wants to rehearse more. Be a resilient company. Be a company that rehearses a lot.
Yeah, and personal resilience too. So all the tips that you've given us actually is...
For me, it goes hand in hand. When I felt maybe I'm losing my focus a little bit at work because I was tired. But now, last week, I had a day where I only slept for 2.5 hours. I did my meditation and yoga first thing in the morning, and I had the best day ever. If I think about 1 month back, if that had happened, my day would have been horrible. I would have struggled to focus at work, and everything has completely changed. So personal resilience and professional resilience, they go hand in hand. And if you sort out your personal resilience first, then everything will be easier at work as well.
Advice and tips would you give newbies who are coming into the industry in any field?
So for me, the key is networking.
Networking.
So there are especially in our industry, there are so many events that you can attend. You learn more. So go to those events. Don't be shy. Go to meetups. Go to the networking events. On the BCI website, you find most of the industry events, and also share the events so that everybody knows about them. And don't be shy to go there by yourself. Especially in our industry, it's not cliquey at all. And you don't have to be shy to speak up, to go and speak to people. And also, people will come up to you and talk to you. But then the other thing, if you are at an event and you see somebody that's standing there by themselves, go and speak to them. Let's help each other.
That books are the windows to the future and to the past. So Bettina, what is your current favourite book right now?
Well, this was really difficult because I feel like I haven't been able to read much recently because I've been so busy at work and at home. So I was thinking about it and I kept going through my books. It's really easy. I have a lot of favorite books, but I wanted a more recent one. And then this book just arrived yesterday, and I haven't been able to put it down. It's called The Hotel on the Roof of the World, 5 Years in Tibet. I have not been able to put it down. I'm already halfway through. Like yesterday, I think I fell asleep reading this book. It's really amazing. I'm sure everybody has heard about 7 Years in Tibet. That book and the film, they're actually very good and I think very inspiring. For me, it's all about like being outside of your comfort zone, and this guy definitely goes outside of his comfort zone. I think he's a British guy. He works in luxury hotels. He was working in France and he was looking for an adventure and a challenge. So somehow he ended up working in Tibet, and it's really all about getting out of your comfort zone. The stories that he has to tell, like just the flights that he had to get on with the planes almost falling apart. He's got this one story where he's sitting there in Chengdu at the airport and somebody is fixing the screws of the plane outside with a screwdriver.
Oh my gosh! How interesting!
It's just like really, it's so important to get out of your comfort zone, and I'm like the biggest scaredy cat. I would never go on a roller coaster. I don't think that I'll ever go to Tibet because the flight there is just an absolute joke, and I'm scared of flying. But I will, I want to see the world, so that's my bit. I'll go on a big normal flight with a big plane. But I don't think I'd ever go on a tiny plane to land in the Himalayas in this tiny airport. But it's so inspiring to read about this, about people that do stuff like that. They go to a country like nobody speaks English there, and he's like, oh, I'll just have to learn I don't even know what you call language. I have to learn the language when I get there, and it's so interesting.
Wow. And you know what? Actually, reflecting back, this book is actually all about resilience as well, isn't it?
It is.
And you probably didn't even realise when you picked it up that actually it can relate to that, and all the things you talked about, personal resilience, you're actually seeing in this book.
Exactly. And like I said,
amazing.
Personal resilience then leads to professional resilience.
Absolutely.
So it all ties in.
Great. So just remind our viewers what the book is called again.
The Hotel on the Roof of the World, 5 Years in Tibet.
Yeah, just show us the book, yeah.
I can really recommend it.
Great, so another book to go on the reading list, guys. So if you've read it, then let us know and let me know how it is, because it sounds really interesting. So
it's funny as well.
Where can our Resilience Pod viewers find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Bettina Gerlich. I'm on Twitter as well with the same name. Networking, and if you ever see me out and about, come and talk to me. Like I said, I love to talk to people and I love to learn from other people's experiences.
Okay, great. So she's accessible, so there's no excuse for you to not get in touch with this awesome lady. We are at the end of our time together and it's time for the mood book. So Bettina's flicking through it again.
I really have to find a good one now.
Yeah, so no pressure. She's found something, guys.
I'm feeling fabulous.
Woo! Okay, so tell us why you're feeling fabulous.
Well, I have to say I'm a little bit relieved because this is a new experience for me. But I really enjoyed it so much. And I think it was great to talk to you and to share my experiences, and that's why I'm feeling fabulous.
Yay, thank you. That's great. Just on reflection, I'm feeling really inspired by you. I'm really grateful for you for coming on the pod, sharing some of your insights and tips, especially the part about imposter syndrome, and also there's no golden hour anymore. So what is it? Let me know if you know what it's called. So thank you so much for coming on the pod and inspiring our viewers, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time, guys. Bye.